'Tis I. Hey everyone, glad to see you back, glad to see you looking fresh. So, like I said last year, 2021 did look like a pretty good year for games. However, I can say certainly 2022 will be a great year for games. Because if you remember back to my video last year, I talked about 15 games. This year, I have 40 to talk about. Now, whether that's just stuff being pushed back, or there's just way more stuff I'm interested in, maybe it's just a lucky stretch of things that I'm actually wanting to play, I don't know, but here's 40 games that I am looking forward to in 2022. Now, because we have so many things to talk about, I'm going to go through these rather quickly as to not take up all day. I'm going to list these in order, starting with release dates, starting from the newest. And then once we're wrapped up with the release dates, we're going to go into alphabetical order for ones that don't have concrete release dates yet. So anyways, let's jump into this. We have a lot of things to talk about. Coming out very soon, today, in fact, if you're watching this on release date, Pokemon Legends Arceus, or I like to say Arceus, is the newest in the Pokemon games and the newest on the Switch. It looks very good. It's been getting insanely high reviews. A new step for the Pokemon franchise, and one that has been needed for a long, long time. Dying Light 2 is the sequel to Dying Light, a pretty good zombie parkour game on last generation. This game got pushed back. I remember talking about it last year, and it does still look really good. To play all of it, the developer said it'd be about 500 hours, which is a long time to spend in this world. I really hope that their lofty goals of making it so that your decisions and consequences actually really affect the world and make things really different. Sifu looks like what a John Wick game should be, and not that weird John Wick Hex game we got a couple years back. This is like a straight-up brawler with some really cool combat and action sequences, and it looks really, really interesting. King of Fighters 15 is a King of Fighters game, clearly the 15th one of those, and it boasts a very large roster with some very cool characters, some icons in there as well. The tagline of this game is shatter all expectations. 2D fighters are something I try to get into as much as I can, and this roster seems absolutely crazy. Horizon Forbidden West is the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that everyone loves on the last generation, and I really hope that the sequel is able to keep those ideals and keep pushing the franchise forward. I mean, swimming is in it. That seems new. That seems fun. The designs in this, the creature designs are always excellent, and I'm interested to see where they take the story, obviously into the West, probably, if the title has anything to say about it, and we'll see where Aloy's journey goes from here. Elden Ring, the newest big game from Software, and this looks like Lord of the Rings and Dark Souls had a baby, and, you know, what more can you say about it? That really sells it right then and there. Big open worlds to explore and large grotesque creatures to take down. Very exciting visceral combat. Something that I am almost certain, if they don't flub it, this will be a contender for Game of the Year. Triangle Strategy is one of the HD 2D games, a really interesting art style, and going more off of Fire Emblem as opposed to the more Final Fantasy type of game the last game was. I've been wanting more Fire Emblem. I need something to kind of fill that void, and this looks like it's definitely going to hit that mark for me. If we have a new Fire Emblem game this year, excellent. But if we don't, we'll at least have this to look forward to. Chocobo GP. Much like Triangle Strategy to Fire Emblem, Chocobo GP is to Mario Kart. I've been wanting a new Mario Kart since the Wii U days because it's been a long time since we've had a new Mario Kart game, and a new kart racer is sorely needed on the Switch. Honestly, I'm kind of tired of playing Mario Kart 8, and again, if we have a new Mario Kart, great. If we don't, we at least have Chocobo GP as a nice backup. Tunic is a clearly Legend of Zelda inspired game coming to the Xbox, the game I have been looking forward to for years. It is one of those games that I would think a lot of people kind of overlooked, especially during Xbox's E3 showcases where they show off a ton of games and some of them just kind of get swept under the rug and no one really remembers them. This is one that kind of spoke to me, stuck out to me as like, that looks lovely. And I'm really excited to finally play it. I've been looking forward to it for years. When it got shown off last year, I was super happy to see it again. Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origins is a very strange name and a very strange looking game. And the art style is weird. And I know Final Fantasy is weird overall, but even in terms of their kind of weirdness, this looks super strange. Honestly, I'm willing to give it a shot just based on what it's about, the kind of origins it wants to take for the whole Final Fantasy franchise. I don't know if I'm going to try to tie in every Final Fantasy game with this. That's going to be strange. I'm more curious about this game, but I am looking forward to it nonetheless. Kirby and the Forgotten Lands is the newest Kirby game and the very first Kirby game to go into full-form 3D. Making 3D platformers again, Nintendo is finally branching out from last generation, which was super 2D platformer heavy on the Wii and the Wii U, honestly, so I'm glad we're finally getting more 3D platformers from them. I'm honestly very excited to see what Kirby does in this, and the new powers, and the new bosses, and all that. Kirby is just such a comfort food kind of video game franchise, and it's always exciting to see his new games come out. Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is the newest in the, I guess, Borderlands franchise, but this is going off in a completely weird direction, basing it more on that DLC from Borderlands 2 that everyone loves. I think that's a really good idea, because Borderlands 3 didn't really hit the mark like we all wanted it to, so making it even weirder and making it a faux D&D kind of world build, it seems very interesting and very exciting. It's D&D with guns. I mean, that's super cool. Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga, we very recently just got a announcement and new trailer for the dates and all that. So I'm more excited about this than I have been in a while. And it's been since 2019 since we've had our last one. So they've had a long time to develop this game. Finally, the new Lego Star Wars game is coming to us. I've been looking forward to this for years. I joked about it for a long time that my new PlayStation 5, this would have been the first game I got with it. Unfortunately, that couldn't happen because the game wasn't out yet. Nonetheless, I'll be there pretty much day one. Saints Row is the newest in the Saints Row franchise. And it has been a long time since we got Saints 4 and Gat Out of Hell. Saints Row is a super insane franchise, one with incredibly high highs and very weird lows. This seems to be taking some of the kooky elements of the newer ones while also going back to basics. It's a very interesting way to do about it, because honestly, I don't know where you could go with Saints Row 5 if you just went even crazier. Starfield is a game, again, that was announced a long time ago, and finally we'll be able to play it, hopefully, this year. Skyrim in space is an easy way to put this. I'm really hopeful that Bethesda really steps their game up and doesn't keep using the same kind of framework that Skyrim made. I understand Skyrim is still fantastic to this day, but honestly, we're far past Skyrim in terms of game builds and world building, so hopefully the framework around this can be something special. So that's it with games with release dates. Now we're going to go into ones in just alphabetical order that are slated to come out this year. Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp is a game that was supposed to come out in December. It got pushed back a little bit. There's another one that'll hopefully fulfill that, Fire Emblem Void. I've never played an Advance Wars game, and I'm very excited to try it out here. Avatars, Frontiers of Pandora, the Ubisoft open world game, and making it into the Avatar world of Pandora seems very interesting. I think that world has a lot to offer in terms of open world exploration and a lot of lore and depth that we can dive into, and especially since apparently Avatar 2 is supposed to come out this year. Bayonetta 3, the long-awaited sequel to Bayonetta 2, new to the Switch, another one that was announced way too early and kept being silent about it, but we finally got to see gameplay on it last year. It looks very good, very fast-paced, more Bayonetta, and that's a good thing. Bear and Breakfast is a cutesy indie game about running a bed and breakfast, and you're a bear. I mean, it's called Bear and Breakfast. How can you not immediately love that? I mean, come on now. Cyberpunk 2077, I'm kind of cheating on this one, is finally, hopefully finally, getting a full next-gen release. Been waiting to play this game because of its broken state. I didn't want to dive in and be like, this actually is not great, and kind of dip my toes into a game that wasn't finished yet. I'm willing to wait the extra time until they fully put it out on next gen and can say this is the game we're proud of at this point, because I know they have been working on it, and I'm excited to see what they finally end up with, as opposed to dumping into that day one patch and having to deal with the entire mess that the game was. Kind of going off that, Witcher 3 is also slated to get a next-gen re-release, remake, something or other. My favorite game of all time, that's why I'm including it on here. Witcher 3 is one that I am super excited to replay. No matter how long it takes, I'm always excited to hang out with Geralt and Ciri and Yen and Triss and everyone in that world, and I'm so happy to be able to do it once again. Destroy All Humans 2, Reprobed, is a remake of Destroy All Humans 2, much like Destroy All Humans was a remake of Destroy All Humans from back in the day. That game was surprisingly fun, and honestly a sequel sounds right for that game, and to remake another older one as opposed to making a new one seems a bit strange to me, but whatever. More games like that are welcome. We don't get many games like that anymore. Evil West. If you know me, you've heard me talk about this. I was super excited when it got announced back at the Game Awards, and did that gameplay last year really get me excited. I cannot wait to see, this game looks super wacky and super fun, and new ideas and concepts, and just something, off the wall that I really hope works. God of War Ragnarok is a game that's a lot of people's most anticipated, the sequel to 2018's God of War, and we get to see more Norse gods and fight more of them, hopefully, and get to see more bloodbaths and excitement from what Kratos and Boy are up to. Gotham Knights is the newest from Warner Brothers Montreal. They're the ones who worked on Batman Arkham Origins, which is my least favorite of the Arkham games, but it's still an Arkham game, so it's really excellent. I've been long waiting more Batman Arkham kind of games, and I know this is out of that franchise. To be able to play as characters like Batgirl, Nightwing, Robin, and Red Hood. Really interested to see where the story goes with how Batman's not really involved, and the Court of Owls, and so many interesting pieces go into this game. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel. Will this one come out this year? I hope so. It'll be a very stacked year already with this. That's just another one on top. But I do feel like it could come out. I feel like a direct showing it off in February and then it coming out in November sounds right to me. If it gets pushed back for another year, that makes sense as well. But if it does come out this year, it all works out perfectly, in my opinion. Little Gator game is a game that I found when doing research for this. I know nothing about it, but this game looks adorable, and I'm really excited to play it because of just how cute it is. I hope to get an update on hopefully the Wholesome Games Direct during E3 this year, and so I'm excited to see more about it, and I'll definitely be dipping my toes into Little Gator game at some point. The Lord of the Rings Gollum. What even is this? The reason it's on here is because I remember hearing about this game years back and thinking it was a joke, but there was a trailer at the Game Awards, so it's clearly still being worked on, and it's supposed to come out this year, so let's see what happens with that. Why they're making a game based on Gollum is beyond me, but I'm more interested than anything. Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope, a really interesting strategy game. A very weird combo of Mario and Rabbids and then turning into a strategy game and not a party game. No one saw it being any good, and it was actually pretty good. So we'll see where the sequel takes us. Metal Slug Tactics is another tactics game, 2 in a row. And this takes the Metal Slug franchise, and when it was announced, seemed like kind of a cash grab idea. After we saw the trailer and some of the gameplay, it actually looks very well done. And it's very cool to see something like Metal Slug be able to change its formula a little bit and still retain its familiarity. Marvel's Midnight Suns is the superhero game we know very little about, just based on its weird promises of being an XCOM type game, that's 3 tactics games right in a row. The characters they chose to base this game off of and making a new villain, it all seems super paranormal and weird. That side of comics that even the Marvel films aren't even tapped into yet. The very dark and creepy and weird side of the stories. Multiverses is Warner Brothers' answer to Smash Bros. A game where you can play as Batman and Superman and Harley Quinn, but you can also play as Arya Stark and Finn and Jake from Adventure Time and Bugs Bunny and Shaggy and just a ton of weird characters. This roster could be enormous. Just imagining the kind of characters in this game is very interesting to think about. And hopefully this game is good and can do well, and we can see even more weird characters in this game. River City Girls 2 is the sequel to River City Girls, a very good side-scrolling beat-em-up, and we don't get a lot of those anymore, so I'm excited to play more of those kind of games. I'm getting more and more into those. Shovel Knight Dig is another Shovel Knight game, which I didn't even know was coming, especially because we were just talking about a new Shovel Knight game last year. He got a puzzle game, and now he's getting a procedurally generated, kind of a side-scrolling adventure. More Shovel Knight is really good. The classic Shovel Knight game is excellent, and anyone who hasn't played it should. So I'm glad to see that this franchise is expanding into so many different types of games. Hopefully this is another really good one in the franchise. Sonic Frontiers is a open-world Sonic game, which, oh boy, is a risky pick, but if they nail it, this could be something really good. But honestly, just putting Sonic on an upcoming games list is risky on its own. Please don't mess this one up, Sonic team. Splatoon 3 is more Splatoon. As simple as that. I didn't think we'd be getting another one on this console, honestly. I'm surprised to see it here so fast. More Splatoon is a cool thing. Especially since Splatoon 2 was just kind of an update more of Splatoon 1 than a whole new game. I hope to see more single-player content in Splatoon 3 than in Splatoon 2. And not just in a DLC pack. So we'll see what happens with that. Sports Story is a sequel to Golf Story and is one that hasn't said it's coming out in 2022, but I'm going to hopefully will it into existence with it being on here. I love Golf Story, and I love the idea that they're just expanding it into a bunch of different sports for the sequel. I still play Golf Story with my friends to this day. So play that if you haven't, and be excited for the sequel. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is the newest game from the Arkham developers. I'm obviously super excited for this. Like, come on. You get to play as King Shark in this game. Like, it's perfect for me. It's perfect for me. Super cannot wait for this. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is another 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. The Turtles are renowned for their beat-em-ups, and I don't see why that should stop now, because the new game looks excellent. And finally, our 40th game here, Trek to Yomi, is like if Devolver Digital saw the filter on Ghost of Tsushima that made it look like old samurai films and was like, yeah, we can do that. Make a whole game based on that style. And I agree. Do that, please, because this game looks beautiful. And I'm sure it'll absolutely just be gorgeous the entire time, and I cannot wait to see how it looks when the whole game is here. That's my list for the 40 games I'm excited about this year. Obviously, I don't know about every game coming out. That happens every year, so let's see what happens. Some of these games I'm sure won't come out this year, unfortunately. If they all do, I'm going to be very busy all year long. So let me know which of these you're most excited to play, and let me know if I missed anything that you're excited about this year. Thank you so much for watching. As always, like this if you like this, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you at some point.